Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension Season 5, activating Starseeds, walk-ins, and the new human of the Golden Age. I'm your host, Washela Sananda, and today it's my pleasure to introduce you to LightStar. Welcome, LightStar.
Thank you so much.
So happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
Yes. So I want to tell you all about LightStar, but before we begin, I'd love for everyone to join us in a short alignment process just to get us really focused and present for what you're going to experience in this conversation. So just begin, if you will, by closing your eyes and deepening the breath into the belly. And as you're breathing, get in touch with the light within your heart. This is the golden light, the divine light of your presence, your heart light, and feel that light expanding and growing out around your heart center. And now bring that light up far above your head and make contact with the light of Central Sun and the heart light of Central Sun. And bring that light down through the ethers into the crown of the head, through every energy center to the base of the spine, and then continuing down, drawing a line of light all the way down into the heart center of Mother Gaia, heart center of the earth, and bring that energy up into the base of your spine, up into every energy center, feeling that liquid crystal light creative energy of the divine feminine, the divine masculine, coming together in your heart center, creating a holy trinity of light. And then feel yourself completely fortified by this light, creating balance, alignment, focus, and clarity so that you may receive whatever is in this interaction today that is for your highest good. And with that, one more deep breath and then come back. And thank you for doing that alignment process with us. And now I'm going to share about LightStar. LightStar is an internationally acclaimed high frequency attunement artist, celestial channel, author, and Starseed Ambassador who is passionately committed to guiding people to discover the truth of their soul. Her Visionary Attunement Artwork and frequency-encoded oracle decks are infused with sacred color rays and light codes that transmit pure divine inspiration. They help people awaken, realign with their soul, and recall their destiny path. LightStar speaks over 20 light languages, which transmit and activate soul memories and healing codes. Her music is a source of high-frequency sound healing that will heal, upgrade, and inspire new levels of transformation for humanity. So what fun. I am really looking forward to digging in with you, LightStar. And I'd just love to start with kind of your origin story. Were you always spiritual, or did you have an awakening experience? How did you get into this?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on here. It's really a pleasure, and I'm really excited. And I've got the golden energies as well coming in, so that's perfect. This image behind me called the Golden Age, so it's like perfect. So I actually came into this. I felt like I was always a spiritual child and very sensitive, and I really didn't know a lot about any of this spirituality and starseed and any of that stuff. It's not like I was brought up with that, but I was extremely empathic as a child. And like a lot of people, I always say this, is that what do we do when we're overly empathic as a child and we're not taught like how to deal with that? What do? We turn down the dial, right? We turn it down because there's just so much input that it's overwhelming. And so my spirituality, I think, was always there, And I had very open parents, that were open to this spiritual stuff, but they also weren't teaching me how to like do it, how to use it, like all of this. So I was very unaware, or I should say unaware of my own gifts as a child. But I was speaking a light language at 9 years old. And that's something I didn't know was light language. I just knew that I was just speaking this different language that would come out, and I didn't understand what it was at the time until later. So I think my flowering or blossoming, I mean, I remember saying something to my mom when we went to took me to some guru that she was, I was the only child there. There was a group of adults. And I remember coming out of the venue, and I looked up on my mom after seeing the guru, and he's chanting and they're all meditating, and I didn't know what was going on. But I looked at her and I said, "It was blue." And she said, "What was blue?" I said, the color around him was blue. And she's like, "Oh, okay." So I think I started to see these colors as a young age, but again, dialing it down because I didn't understand it, and talking about it was uncomfortable, and feeling it was very uncomfortable. And so I dialed it down all the way pretty much through my whole youth. Okay. So my awakening really to this material happened mostly when just before I moved to Sedona, which is a great place to open up. But I was in the corporate world, and that world was, I worked very much in marketing and corporate and in engineering and construction and restoration companies, nothing having to do with this work at all. But I was in marketing there and doing a lot of different types of work. But that really ended when I needed to do something else. I was getting pushed. And, the 2009 crash in the market is what propelled me, because I did lose the job like a lot of people, and had to then go out and figure out. But I had been getting messages a year prior to that, like, you need to do your spiritual work. You need to do it. Just push, to do that. And so that's what happened, is that fell apart. The corporate life falls apart. And then I was on my path to search. When I came to Sedona, if everything opened up, I did healing work here for myself, just to kind of purge from the corporate world in some ways, and start working on this path. And then my artwork started to flourish and come out here as well, to a whole different way. I was doing graphic design, but very marketing, corporate, and then my artwork started flourishing here. So that opened up a huge wave of creativity. My intuition started kicking in again. I started to dial that, knob up, way up, and started to do intuitive readings. And then moving into more of the Starseed stuff, I started to download language after language after language. There were some openings, some doorways, some gateways that just really came up open. And I started to record these sounds and different things that were coming forth. Didn't understand them at the time, but I was integrating for a period of many years of this to decipher what these were, what the energies were, what they're coming into. And then I culminated my work, which is my, visionary art, my session work with clients, with healing and with sound and light language and all these things. And then the oracle deck that came out of, my artwork. So that's kind of the synopsis of how all this came to be.
Great. Yeah. I think a lot of people, it's interesting how something like losing a job or something that seems kind of devastating at the time can actually be the turning point to have you step into more purposeful and powerful work for yourselves and the world.
Yes, it's a catalyst for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of people can relate to doing that or having that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to talk about light language. And you are really unique in that you speak you said at least 20 different light languages, and you know the differences between each of them. And I think most of our viewers are familiar on some level with light language, but I'm not sure that, that I'm even familiar, what are the differences in the, there are 20 different light languages and the difference and you can feel them. I think that's really amazing. Can you kind of unpack, first of all, let's start at the beginning. What is light language? Where does it come from? And what's the purpose of it?
Yeah, really, really, I know it seems basic, but I think it's important because there's a lot of people awakening to it. It's something very different than your norm. So I feel like light language is a very expressive energy, and the expressive energy is really, it's energy. So it's a bit different, although some of the light languages really are languages, you know, from other places and other realms. Some of them are transmissions, though, and they're really languages that are spoken and experienced from a heart space. They're higher frequency than, and so it's not even like translating from English, German, French, you know, Spanish into our languages here. It's different because our languages, a lot of times, you know, are operating on one level, whereas the light languages have multi-dimensional levels within them. And I give the example of, you could say one sentence in light language, and that one sentence unpacks volumes of information, of data, of downloads, of shifts and energies that help you transform, help you shift. And it goes really deeper into the DNA, into the level of the DNA, where it shifts and activates. And I can't tell you how many people you can see this visibly from people that shift. And even myself, when I started to do this, when you hear it, when you experience it, your body tends to shift, and literally there'll be twitching or jerking that happens with the languages when you hear them, because it's actually going into your cellular structure and making adjustments and making fine attunements and shifts and changes within the base of our core. And I feel like the purpose of that is to really expand us into different realms. So we're moving, we're growing, right? And we're in this ascension process that we're all on. I personally feel like we've already ascended in a lot of different, all of us have really ascended on other planets, other places, and we're back here kind of doing it again, but we're also helping those of us that are the way showers, or helping other people to do that process or to go through that process. So light language is one of the things that helps with that. It's a bridge, but I feel like it's not just for communication purposes only. It's definitely because people are using it for blessings and for healing and for activating and all those different genres. So that's the basis of really light language. And then my process of speaking over 20, I've been told when I first started unpacking this, I was actually told that I had probably about 125 languages in my energy field. I'm working on these other levels, okay, multidimensionally, and in some of those other, let's just say, aspects of myself, I have multiple languages, but I'm not pulling all those down right now because that's really overwhelmed to me. I mean, 20 is enough, right? Like that's kind of overwhelmed. But I have more of them that are coming in because I finally just said, you know, stop, I need to integrate. And I went through a process of integration. And so the process unpacked and unfolded for me, where these languages are coming from, what the energies are. And so that's kind of where I'm going with the different layers of them. I call myself one aspect of me that does actual interpretations and also intuitive work with it is, if anyone knows of the old Star Trek, you know, the original Star Trek, Lieutenant Uhura, okay, you remember her? And then the new Star Trek generation, which is Deanna Troi, okay, her role as counselor. Well, if you bridge the two together, that's kind of what my role is in one of those aspects. So intuitive and also translating different languages. But down here in this incarnated state, I'm doing something different because I'm not, I started to do a translation in the beginning of doing it. And my guidance was saying, don't do that at the moment because people are needing to experience the energy and you're the bridge to get them there. And then later on, you might bring back some, you know, interpretations or somewhat. But right now, it's important for people to feel the experience and get the energy of them so that it doesn't dilute so much from people trying to, you know, taking some of that information and then trying to dilute it into, you know, languages on our plane. It does dilute some of the energy, it doesn't completely dissipate it, but, you know, you can imagine this frequency of divine energy coming in and we try to siphon it down and drill it down into our language, that sometimes does lose some of the translation. But that's kind of the overview of, again, how I got into layering these different ones, speaking different languages, where they kind of come in, and identified, most of the ones that I'm speaking, I'm identifying in, unless they're just coming in. Like I've got one that just came in last year, the end of the year, and I've just now kind of deciphered where that energy comes from. So it's sometimes taking me shorter period of time to do that now. But that's how they all came in, is just one at a time and just identifying them.
Wow.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. That's so interesting. And I love that you're kind of finding where each one comes from. And then I'm sure that you understand probably the purpose, the reason behind it. And so in all of this downloading of light language and sharing of light language, do you feel like it has or serves a purpose in the evolution of humanity?
Yeah, I do. And the reason, let's say how, is that right now, like for instance, our language is on one level, right? But we understand ourselves like by our names, right? We identify ourselves by our names. Light language, on the other hand, is a whole different energy. So I feel like there's symbols and codes identifying with that. And I feel like we are evolving from a place of just understanding ourselves from, here's my name, here's what I do, we're identifying ourselves now with codes and symbols that are coming in. And it's no different than, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Prince actually identified himself with a symbol. Mm-hmm. And that symbol is really, I feel, where a lot of us are going. Is we will eventually, maybe not in this lifetime, where we're here, but I feel as we evolve, we will see ourselves and identify ourselves by frequency from the languages and the symbols and codes that come in. And we may identify ourselves differently than we do now. That's where I see light language as being the bridge to that, to upgrade our frequencies. First of all, that helps us to evolve, to understand ourselves from a new level, from a different level, from a higher level, and from a level that isn't the norm of how we identify ourselves. So you may come across somebody in, the future, and you just know from their energy, and they may speak something and say something different that may sound like, a light language or something to greet you. And then you immediately may see something around them or feel something around them that you get what their essence is about, rather than them telling you your name. That's one way I feel, that it's evolving humanity. But by far, it's evolving from the DNA restructurization that happens from the languages, and it helps us to go to the next level of ourselves.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I have to comment on what you said about Prince and the symbol. Do you think that he was receiving light language?
I feel he was a star being, first of all. He's not from this place. So I feel he was already bringing himself high levels. And he's one example of high level frequency of creativity, obviously, from the music and the creativity, and him really identifying himself with that symbol as part of it. But yeah, I feel he was bringing through his own version of, light language. A lot of light language can be called different things. We've heard it universal, galactic languages, but they're not all just galactic, because, I bring through elemental, angelic, and galactic kind of streams. So yeah, I do feel he was bringing in these high streams, star beings, no different than Tesla bringing in his own codes with the whole different scientific, type of aspect. So we each have like different essences, but I feel like we'll be able to unpack those a lot more in the future. Now, I think we're just scratching the surface of this through the light language that's coming through, and through the symbols and codes. It's not just language. Things get created from sound, right? Mm-hmm. Sound frequencies, and from symbols, in the ethers, and we template those to create sound, color, light. light language. It's all included in that higher frequency bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I love how you presenced the creative aspect of sound and tonality and frequency and light, and intention and all of that. So, and I can't help but just comment on your background, which is this beautiful golden light, sacred geometric portal. And I feel like I'm just being like drawn into it. It's just gorgeous. So.
Yeah, it actually is called the Golden Age. That's why I heard Golden Age. So, and it symbolizes this new age that we're coming into, the waterfall of golden energy, light, and there's, you can't see it, but at the top, but there's a couple dolphins up there at the top actually, but you can't see that part. But this image is really about what the Golden Age is. So I really thought it was very apropos to bring this on and energize. It's very activating as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes so well alongside what you're saying and sharing about light language, because we don't necessarily need to know the verbal meaning, or like, we don't need to describe, with words. The visual aspect of it says so much more than what we could ever say, in words.
I mean, I do have a lot of my artwork, most of my artwork in the new artwork has symbols and codes in it. In addition to these, this one is going into my upgraded version of my magical dimensions, but it actually has a lot of my images will have both, like this and the symbols and codes. So they really activate people, but you don't necessarily need that because all of it is behind it. The codes, the symbols are all embedded, infused, if you will, into the art and into the colors and into the frequency of what's coming forth. And my artwork for sure does that. Like, it just has frequency embedded in it. So people unpack whatever they get from it, or whatever's meant for them.
Oh, I love it. All right. So we could talk about light language all day long, but I think it might be more fun to hear it. And so we get to actually have an experience of it. So would you like to share some light language with us?
I'd love to. Yes. Okay. So with that said, though, when you're hearing this, just the best thing to do before prefacing all of this is to have yourself put your mind, your analytical mind, kind of off to the side for a moment, because your analytical mind is the one that's going to be like picking it apart or like trying to decipher, what does that mean? Or what is she saying? Or the best thing to do is to really open your heart and just to receive the codes and whatever comes through. And then you can pick your analytical mind up back out again after the fact. So that's kind of the best way to listen here. And what I was getting, I usually get like if I'm doing this, I'll get an overall meaning or an overall what's coming through, is this sense of, as we're moving into this golden age, what does this symbolize? Even in the image that I have is peace, right? That's what peace and harmony, and coming back to a place of peace and harmony. And so I feel like the light language that wants to come through is going to be about that. Okay. I'm getting that there's going to be two languages. One of them that will be that. The other one is a little bit different, where it's actually going to be activating the activators, the ones that are the truthers, or people that are really like in it, the indigos and that kind of thing. There's also a lot going on with that too. And so it's sort of a balance of both energies, and you'll notice the difference between the two, but it's going to go one right into the other. Okay. All right. So everybody just kind of close your eyes or just tune in and listen with your heart. Okay. Ike wa ka hesh iti iwa sa ete hike wa ka ite seki ke shona suto on shiwa ka ela sateni isoko mashiare ewa daise te ewa ka e shihishono os mania to u shike wa kai tesa mata ewa sha ewete hie se hushana e se tua kaiti sai shishiana Hosia tani ukoeis, saitu o sane ushia taimike watai. saita hoshayete koayake nahite washiti ukwa daeso gewatai ishea naisetua orishukue ite soana sushai hota saite urataki hanasaite huishuasha shaite wakiwakaitena saitu huronane sewaki siiti hashi uasha horashi harioso umakaitis han alashes. Urantari ishtak malak hala kaisheki kala klakshiniach. Urampak mayetek mama shi kwarata kala kesh. Usopake ki makama kash pek miatar makak. Sok mami shupakaitek wa dasakiena utora kuish ak mahales. Sukuye wati ki hia kach nora shokumaheti. Sirakaki wa rosokuruashite ker makaru okusho wa taiteki sukira kama waka hiseti shio washiki waka taiti si iki wakaite mata uroko lakai soto hi washiki waiteki hoshiti waka hata hatish hatarama waki besto makara Ratek Nai Asaki. And if you just breathe that energy in, circulating around and allowing it to just be in your body and in your frequency, and allowing that to open and receive whatever is meant for you, whatever's coming in. If you do receive translation, by all means, it's perfectly fine. It just means it may be different for everybody that has a different experience with it. And just breathing those codes in. So we first had the Andromedan energy that came forth. In case anyone was curious, the Andromedan energy came in first, and then we had Syrian energy coming in. So a lot of galactic codes that were coming through. And again, through the overall interpretation, the Andromedan energy was coming through with that peace, that harmony, allowing you guys, it's very almost tribal. Well, both of them sound very tribal, but they're different. But the first energy is like that peace. Think of the peace tribes, going around and creating that harmony and putting that balance back into the collective. And then the second one, a little bit more activating, where it's kind of, activating those activators out there to keep going, to, keep your energy clear and to speak your truth, and to also get some collective energies going in the throat chakra. So there was some throat activation there as well. So that's kind of the overview of the meaning of those two activations.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I could really, like, when you started, I got chills all over my whole body, and I really felt the presence and the interaction, and and also the hand movements that you make really exemplify like what's being shared, even if it's not word for word, and and so I get that it's the download and it's the receiving of an exchange or an upgrade of energy. And I
think a lot of people have that feeling of chills or whatnot. And I just want, people to know that sometimes people think that, they get into fear of something they don't understand, or, chills sometimes comes that way too. But the chills, I get this energy that comes through my shoulders around right here, and then comes out vibrationally. So when you're feeling that and you're bringing in, it kind of goes through chills, and you get that visceral feeling in your body. That's when you know there's something that's going on, right? There's something shifting and something changing. Again, you don't have to understand every little iota of what's happening. It just is.
Yeah, beautiful. And yeah, I always think of chills as like truth bumps or, spirit bumps, because like, ooh, I'm getting the frequency of that, and it's doing, it's doing something, it's doing what it's meant to do. So that's a good thing in my book. Okay, so I want to talk now about your art, and you call it Visionary Attunement Art, and this is all your art. Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no worries.
I think I got that throat activation.
Yeah.
Clearing something.
Exactly.
So and it's so evident just by the one that you're sitting in front of. But I know you've put them into Oracle decks, and you're going to share some of that with us. But just if you'd share a little more about what is your mission, your intention with the Oracle decks, with the art. Is it the same as the light language? Is it like just another facet of the same thing, or is it a different type of? I know it's a different medium, but a different mission alongside that.
Yeah, when I first started to create my art, I had a feeling that it was going to be going into an Oracle deck, as I was developing it. That came in pretty early. It takes a while when you're the only artist, a lot of people that do Oracle decks aren't the actual artists. So maybe it doesn't take them that long, but it took me a long time to create it. So I had the feeling that it was going to be going into an Oracle deck. So the first deck I have is the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators, and they are very activating. And so these are, I guess, the first early work of mine is really more magical. It brings through the elementals, the angels, and some of the starseed stuff as well in that deck, but it's really universal, very great for anyone otherworldly, but the dimensions, it's called dimensions, but it's very magical, and it brings in a lot of the magic and the energies of the magical realms. And then the second deck, which is my Celestial Frequencies deck. So that's my Celestial Frequencies, Oracle cards, and healing activators, a little different because that deck actually is going to have codes. A lot of them go with my codes. It's also geared a little more towards the Starseeds. We have like 12 of the star people that I created are in there, and they have all the codes and the symbols. So that one actually does, I would say, move into the more spectrum of light language and codes and all of that, because they have the symbols and the codes and the glyphs and the light language, especially on the star people images below them and all of that. So that kind of gives a little taste of what the Oracle deck is. But the real reason why I wanted to bring out Oracle decks is really for, you can use them as Oracle decks or as activators. And when I say that, you can lay them out on your altar space, your table, and I have different layouts that you can do to start with. And you can do things like activate healing for your mom, or bring in money or abundance for you, and and for health and for career, and all these different things that you can activate those using them as layouts. So they're activators or healing activators. So they can be used different ways. But the main reason why I wanted to create this is to help people, to help them with their own intuitive strength and building that muscle. That's really why I created this, because I always say, like, I'm not a chiropractor psychic, like for me, I didn't want people coming back over and over. I want to give them the tools that help them to spark and inspire that within themselves, and to grow their own intuitive muscle. And that's what my Oracle decks do on one level. On another level, which is something I found that just happens because of the nature of where I'm pulling these energies from and frequencies, is that the deck tends to be super activating for people. So they will activate you. They will also help you to connect to your own guides and angels and star friends and beings of light, elementals, and all of that. They help you to your higher self. All of those connections get stronger and stronger as you work with the deck. So that's kind of the multi-purpose reason, but they are healing tools. They are Oracle cards for reading, for personal and for also for clients. And they're also for personal activation. There's many different ways you can use them. And I've had some people use them in a lot of unique ways that I hadn't even thought about. So this deck is really for the world. I created it, I'm bringing it through, but I take this much of the credit, and that much of it I give to Creator, God, Spirit, my guides, all of the, guides that are there for bringing this out to help people, you know, out there in the world, that's what it's for. So I assume and expect that people will create their own versions of this in terms of utilizing them and finding new ways to use them and using their own creative juice, if you will. Just me giving a guideline on how I downloaded in ways to use them in my structured way isn't necessarily the only way. So they have their own unique flavor to them.
Yeah. Love that. I love that. And I'm looking forward to getting some because they're just, well, the imagery is beautiful and I love the activating aspect, and they're just the visual, you know, it's so fun to have something beautiful and activating and functional. So thank you for bringing those through. And if they had their own bodies, that'd be one thing, but they need body to actually be able to do it. So thank you for being that conduit for divine energy. And I'd love for you to share a card reading with us.
Yes. I have cards. I had not looked at these. Okay. So what I did was I was pulling for the consciousness of this, for your Alchemy of Ascension and for this whole thing about where it's going out to people, listeners and watchers and everybody. So I'm going to look at this. I have 4 cards, and the first one, I just wanted to get it's kind of like the message for, you know, the collective here. And the first one is, okay, it's called Illumination. And the words on the bottom of the card are expression, positivity, and joy, and inspiration. And it's card number 23. So I'll pop it up here, but it has an imagery of a fairy, and she's getting an activation from above and also from the heart. And there's another fairy that's near her, also standing on a mushroom, holding up a light, and it's beaming right at her heart. So what does this have to do with the heart? This really is activating people to their heart space. Okay. So it's kind of what we're about. It's also about receiving, though, and getting into your space of joy. We've had a lot of things that have been pulling us out of our joy, right, for the last few years. So we're needing to pull back into our heart space. So going back into that, and also illuminating the joy and happiness that is within you to beam out to others, right? That's to also share that light and to share your own light with others. Okay. So really happy card. This one is kind of like the happy joy card, which I love because we all need a little bit more joy, and everybody else does in this Stephen King movie we've been in. So, okay. So the second card I'm picking is called Dreamscape. It's card number 10, and it's dream work, subconscious, and imagination. And this one is really also very bright. It's got a sun behind, let's say a fairy there's a raven in here. There's a little cat, black cat, and crystals at the bottom. It's very dreamy. This is actually a card that has to do with, well, it's activation, but it has to do with our dream time and our subconscious, that's what we're working on a lot right now, is our subconscious, and working to clear. A lot of people are having the dream time going off the charts, right? All the dream stuff that's going on. So this is connecting with that activation, also activation of the sun, you know, right now is very strong, and it's very a powerful activation, but it's working underneath the surface. So we may have to dig underneath the surface a bit. So it's going down layers. You may have to go down a few layers and go into your subconscious and clear some of that stuff out of the way, which is what I feel we're all doing collectively. So that's a message to do more of that and to pay attention to your subconscious. You know, we're all aware of what's going on here, but are we aware of what's going on behind the scenes in our own lives to clear some of that stuff as well? And card number 3 is, let's see. Okay, I had a feeling this card was going to come up. I really did. This is called Destiny, and it's divine purpose, passion, and service. It's card number 9. And I love this card. It's a little hard to visually see the details in it, but it's a fairy, a unicorn, and another fairy getting activated. Okay, she's getting activated to her mission. She's kind of holding up a globe, and dolphins are coming out of there, and this fairy is like activating her. This came from actually a dream that I had. I get a lot of my images in dreams, and this dream was like this was happening all over the forest. This is just a zoom lens of this. And this unicorn is smelling the flowers, So this is really about, and there's 11th hour up here on the clock, which is really telling people, get on your mission. Okay, this is divine purpose, divine purpose, passion, and service. So we're talking about service-oriented stuff right now is very important to a lot of us getting on our path. There's people coming into awakening right now that need to get on their path. It's time. So it means no more waiting, time to step into your joy, do your work, right? In the subconscious clearing and get rid of things that are holding you back and step forward into your divine mission. And a lot of people are getting activated to their divine mission. So I think this is also going to be helping those people to say it's time, go now. Okay, that's kind of thing. It's go time. And lastly, we have the magical realms, which card number 28, belief, confidence, co-creative power. Okay, great card. This is also, it's part of my magical kingdoms panoramic image. There's a couple of them that I've split up into that. And it's a elven being with her magical abilities, just kind of beaming that out. And what this is about, like I said, belief, confidence, and co-creative power. That is about stepping forward into your, okay, we had the divine purpose card. Now we have the believe in yourself. You have the ability to do this. It's a very assertive, active, also co-creation, that we co-create with divine energies, with elementals, with galactics, angelics, but it's co-creative. So it's getting into that go time, go now, do your work and believe in yourself. Have that joy and that positivity and that light coming out and believe that you can do this. This is the time, like I said, to put the, your foot on the pedal, the gas pedal. It's not really a time for putting the brakes on from this particular reading. I see is more about moving forward, going forward, and don't stop, believe in yourself. Look at the stuff that comes up, the shadowy stuff. Don't dwell there. Just look at it, work through it, and move forward and don't give up, okay? And know that you have the power to do your work here and to be of great service to humanity, especially at this time. So very powerful cards here for people out there to move forward, right?
Wonderful. I love it. So it's joy, moving forward, doing your shadow work, and really self-empowerment, being true to yourself and your power, and getting your work out in the world, or being of service in your mission.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love it.
Big message for that right now. So
yes.
Anyone procrastinating out there, no more procrastination.
That's right. Yes. If there's ever been a time, it's now. There's no time like now, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Well, we are getting close to the end of our time together. I want to make sure that we have time to share about your free gift, which is the activation pack. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, this is a really awesome thing. Okay. So I came up with this guided visualization. First of all, it's called the Galactic Shield and Reconnection. And it's about, I'd say it's probably about 15 minutes if I remember it correctly, but it's a guided visualization, and it uses the combination of blue light and golden light. So you're actually doing some of the clearing and also bringing in your connection to source. Okay. And so it helps with that. It's really, really helpful to guided visualization that's coming in that pack. And you also get, there's 7 of my images that you can use for wallpaper. Okay, so your digital wallpaper, you can put them up on your screen, on your computer, or on your, computer wallpaper if it fits, or you, shrink it down or something. It's made for basically for, desktop wallpaper, but that's that's in there as well. So if you join my, I'll go onto my site where the link is, and then you sign up for my email list, that's what you're going to get. And you get links to download those all for your personal use, but really powerful. A lot of people really love both, but I wanted to give something that's going to be for the people that really like, art, and excuse me, really love the art, but then people that also really, want the activation from guided visualizations and, the listening and the sounds. We get visual and sound both in that free gift. So.
Ooh, I love it. Thank you. Yes. And I will have that, the link so that people can just click on that and get to that through the show notes. And then I know you also have a great YouTube channel where you share a lot of light language and, that's your name, right? LightStar.
It's under LightStar. Yes.
LightStar. So if people can check you out there as well. And that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. If they go on to you can also go onto my website, which is lightstarcreations.com. And if you go to the contact page, it actually lists all of the social media, all of my YouTube channels. Well, I have other channels like Rumble and BitChute and all Brighteon, all those where you can watch all of those. The main channel is going to be my YouTube one. But I have all the links to all the other places you can look at on there as well.
Great. So yeah, for anybody who doesn't use YouTube, there are plenty of ways to find you.
Exactly. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to leave the listeners and viewers with as a final thought or sharing or activation before we close?
Well, I just want to honor everybody because we've been through a tough time and we are going through a tough time right now overall. I mean, it's a beautiful time. There's light, obviously, there's love, there's a lot of happiness, but we've been through a tough time and I want to honor everybody's courage to step forward into their own lives and just, go through and keep going, because this has been a challenge for everyone to move forward at the same time of dealing with 10 million other things, right? In your life and in the world and all of those things going on at the same time. I want to honor everybody right now. And I want you all to pat yourself on the back for the work that you are doing and the work that you have done for yourself and for the world, in spite of all of the junk and stuff out there. So I just want to implore people to look back at how far you've come. And don't give up, and know that, I always say to people too, is that we think that life's all roses all the time. And it's really not. We came here for a purpose. It's not always flowery and it's not always easy, but we came here from other realms for this purpose, to be here now. And so I want to say you guys are doing a great job. You're doing your work. And everyone upstairs, your higher self and your guides are all applauding and thanking your angels and everything. And to keep in the higher vibrations, even in spite of whatever comes your way. Don't let it knock you off path. It may take you a little time to get back, but just keep going and don't give up. Don't never surrender. Don't give up, but give yourself also some kudos for everything that you've done. You guys are all working so hard, especially people I know on the platform. They're in the light workers, way showers, healers, psychics, all the beings of people that are on this planet and trying to raise the vibration here. And we want to honor everybody, honor everyone, how difficult it is here to even come down here. You guys all, we made the decision to come down here. And this was not an easy place. Obviously, the heavy density for a lot of us empaths out there is really challenging. And so, but you guys keep going and just honoring you all for the work you're doing and for what you're bringing to humanity to help raise the vibration of the jewel of Terra. That's what I call her, the jewel of Terra, Gaia, Earth, this particular realm, which needs a lot of love and TLC.
Beautiful. Thank you for that message. And, my vision of it is, yes, and it's so much better together. So, this is why I do these collaborative summits and share, we are a family of light, and not just the speakers that come on, but everybody watching, everybody listening. We are all this community of light, and it takes all of us. We all have unique codes and unique gifts, and we need each other. So
absolutely,
it's about unity. Being together.
Yeah, the unity consciousness is, we're all understanding a little bit more about what that term means. We say it, but now we're actually living it. And in this golden age, really, to wrap up with the golden age, this is what the golden age is about. It's about unity. Yes, it's also the Aquarian age is also about technology and upgrades to that. You know, the people in the 60s that were born in the 60s, I feel are the ones that were really ushering in the Aquarian age, which we're actually in. But there's a 50-year transition period for that. And those, since you figure 60 year, the 60s, now we're at like 50 years, we're just now scratching the surface of getting into this Aquarian age. So there's a lot going on, but it's about technology, but it's also about unity. And it's about humanity and brotherly love, which is what Aquarian's all about, or sisterly and brotherly love. Let's not forget everybody, right? But it's like that unified field. And that's what we're doing, is learning in a human suit how to be unified, even if we disagree with each other, how to still be in unity and love with each other and co-create.
Yes.
Create.
Indeed. All right. LightStar, it has been such a pleasure to have you on. I am so glad that I got to experience more of your work and your cards and your reading and your light language. So it's just been delightful to have you. And for everyone watching and listening, be sure to download LightStar's free gift. And thank you for joining us. I appreciate you all so much. Namaste.